Baldur does! How's everybody doing tonight? Good, good. No, come on. Did I need more energy? No? I want to thank you for being here tonight. My name is Baldur Das. I go short by Yubi, make it easier for you guys. I want to thank you for being here, whether you're somebody here to support somebody or a client coming to see the review of what we're done, what we shared with you guys, or if you're coming to see the opportunity we have for you guys. We're going to hear from Sue Tudell. Sue Tudell is going to talk to you about a problem that's happening across America right now. And then we're going to hear from Wade Skalski. Wade Skalski is going to talk to you about the solution we have in place that we feel is not only needed but vital. And then Brett Sears is going to bring everything together, and he's going to make sure you guys see the opportunity that's in front of us. So please help me welcome Sue Tudell.
Thanks, Ubi. That was awesome. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, like Ubi had told you, we're going to talk about a problem. Is that okay? And I promise you that by the time we're done talking about the problem, that we can talk about a solution too. How's that? So it's not just going to be all this doom type of stuff. But we have some real problems out there. And I want to backtrack for just a second, because there's a reason that you guys are all here. As an office, as my strategic partners here in this business, we all got together and we said, look, we want everyone, our family members, our friends, our coworkers, our clients, whatever you may be, to understand what we're doing. Because if you understand what's going on out there, you can support us, which would be wonderful. Would you be up for that? Because that's really our goal. So we looked around and said, you know what, there are some real problems out in the world right now. And one of the biggest ones kind of boiled down to money. Wouldn't you know it, right? And we looked at the world and we said, you know what, there's some things that we absolutely know. Let's see if I can get this to work to where I want to. No, we're not exiting. There we go. No. So, okay. There we go. So would you guys all agree that there is a whole group of people out there that is called the wealthy? I kind of like to be one of those people. I don't consider myself one of the wealthy right now, but I would love to be there. Anybody else with me? If you had a choice between having a lot of money and a lot of time to do what you want, and not having a lot of money or not having a lot of time, which would you pick? Everybody, right? We would all do that. So the wealthy have certain things in place. We know their kids are going to college. And in fact, they're probably going to the same college that their parents went to and their grandparents went to, right? It's probably some of the top schools in the country. And that's kind of institutionalized. When they have business ownership, they're the ones who own the businesses, not the ones that work for somebody else, but actually own the businesses. They have financial freedom. They come and go as they want. You know, it's funny because I always think about this and I use this as an example more often than not, and I probably should switch examples, but it really hits me and it really comes back home. Before I ever got involved in financial services, I was a dental hygienist. And one of my one of my patients at that time, I still remember sitting there and asking what he was going to do for the weekend. And what he was going to do is he was going to fly to New York and then on to London, he and his wife, just so they could go see a play. And then they were going to turn around and come back. That's freedom. They didn't save a bunch of months to get there. They did this frequently. That to me is freedom. Coming and going as you want. How about being able to buy anything you want for whoever you want to buy it for, or giving money away? That would be freedom, right? That would be kind of cool. How about financial guidance? The wealthy have all the financial advice that they need. Because they have a lot of money, right? So someone tells them what to do with it. And we know that all those things are pretty much institutionalized. We also know that there's another group of people right down here that we'll call the not so wealthy or the financially dependent. And what's really good about these people is that the government helps out. We don't want a whole group of people going without. So there's things like free preschool so that their kids can get a jump on early childhood education. College grants when they get a little bit older so that they can actually go to school. Financial support, financial opportunities, you know them. We all know them. We've heard food stamps, Medi-Cal, games program, if you know anything about that. So there's all sorts of different things for this group of people. And that's really good because we want to make sure that people have an opportunity to move out of this and into another group. But I'm not a member of this group either. So if I'm not a member up there, and I'm not a member down here, I'm thinking there's a really large group of people right here in between. And it doesn't matter if this group of people makes $30,000 a year or if we make $300,000 a year. If we can't up and quit our job tomorrow, I think we're right here. So what do we call this group of people? This is called Main Street families. Now, to me, it's kind of like every once in a while we're kind of trying to juggle everything. Have you ever felt that way? Like making sure that there's enough money at the end of the month just to make sure that it gets through? Ever felt like that before? I constantly feel like that. I think I have a little bit more of a handle on it now. Phew, glad about that. But it really was feeling that way not that long ago, you know? So this group of people, including myself, we want things. We want our kids going to preschool, right? Preschool. How many kids? How many people have little kids? I know David does. Ubi, you do too, Marcel. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So you guys have. Are you doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have little kids. I don't want to assume something, but I thought, okay, I better find out first. Okay. So how old? 15 months. Oh, you're in for a rude awakening coming up here real quick, right? Okay. So preschool. $600, $800, $1,000 per child. That gets expensive. But we do it. Why do we do it? Because we want what's best for our children, right? And if we can't afford it, what do? You know what? They don't need to go to preschool. We'll just take care of them ourselves at home. And even though in the back of our minds we're going, oh, it would be so much nicer if they could just go and be exposed to more things, we're going, oh my goodness, can't afford it. Can't let anybody know. And that's just the way it is, right? But I'm fine. I'm fine. We're going to make it work. And then all of a sudden those kids grow up and they graduate from high school, and then what happens? College. Anybody here with college age kids? Cindy? Anybody else? College is expensive, right? Absolutely. So we do the same thing here. Do we get the grants from down here? Nope. Do we have the money from up here for them to go to college? Nope. So what happens? They take student loans. And they walk out of college owing $60,000, $80,000, $100,000. And then they start backwards, trying to catch up, right? But why do we do it? Because it's important. So we're going to make it happen. And that's just the way it is. It's just the way things are, right? So we go with it. And then we talk about, is this getting depressing yet? Just a little, it is a problem, it really is. Then we talk about, I would love to own a business. Anybody said that? I would love to own a business. Ah, you've said it, Julio. Awesome. A couple of times. Expensive to own a business? Absolutely. And you know what? It's not really the amount that it costs to own that business, start that business, but how about staying in business long enough to make it work? You know, it's funny. I have a friend, and I was talking to her this last week. I was just talking to Cindy about this and that. And she has two boys, a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. And she is a business owner, and she is very smart in all of this. And her thinking is way from up here and not from down here. So she's taking her two boys and quite a few of their friends and teaching them business. And they are going out and they're doing the marketing, and they're doing the sales, and they're making money, and then they're doing the administrative stuff, and all of the things that a business has to do. And they each have bank accounts. But was that any of us? Did we get that jump start on learning how to have a business? Because those kids, by the time they're out of high school, they're going to know what to do. Do we know what to do? No, because were we ever taught it? No. We want to own a business, but do we know the marketing and the administrative side, everything to stay in business? So who owns the businesses? That group of people. And then what do we end up doing? We end up managing those businesses for them, working to build their goals and their dreams. And then we talk about financial advice. You know, it's funny, I had mentioned that I was dealing with my gymnast before I was in financial services. And back then, if someone would have said to me, would you like to make 9%, 10%, 11%, 12% on your money? What do you think I would have said? Absolutely, right? I would have gone, please, tell me how. The problem is if the next question was, what do you know about investing? And who do you have helping you? What do you think I would have said? Nothing. And I probably was naive, and so I would save my money in the bank, getting 1% or 2%. And that group of people up there would get 9, 10, 11, and 12%. But it's the way it was. That was fine, because that's the way it happened. We're fine because we're managing someone else's business, and at least we have a job, right? We're fine because at least the kids are going to college. And we're fine because we're going to make sure that our little kids are they're going to get that job no matter what, right? And we stay stuck. And we teach the same thing to our kids. Now, my question for you is, how do we ever get up there? Because we make too much money to take advantage of the programs from down here. And we don't have the money that they have up there. In fact, we actually buy the goods and services that they manufacture and keep them making more money. So can you see that we're kind of stuck here in the middle? And we don't have the same access as these other groups. So why? What can we do? Why isn't it changing? And I want to suggest to you that the reason it's not changing is because one of the reasons is because we turn to what we already know. We turn to the banks, the lenders, the insurance companies, corporate America, because those were the institutions that were built for us. Now let me ask you a question. Are the banks ever going to get us wealthy? CDs get like 1%, 2%. Is that ever going to get us ahead? Probably not. And probably even worse, if you really think about it, they take our money. They go and invest it. Remember that money, the wealth they get? Well, they make it also 10, 11, 12%. Or they turn around and loan it back to us in the form of credit cards and things. What's the interest rate on credit cards? 20, 22, 24%. So they make a lot of money on our money. So they're the banks and the lenders. You kind of almost combine the two of those. And those were the institutions that are there for us. Or are they? Are they really? Maybe, maybe not, right? How about corporate America? Does everybody work a job here? Or pretty much everybody? Is your boss ever going to teach you how to have your own business? Make sure you know all the ins and outs. Not only just what you're doing, but all the back end stuff too. Are they going to do that? Never in a million years. But corporate America is going to us. So let me ask you a question. Who's knocking on your door? Nobody was knocking on my door. Nobody was showing up and telling me what to do. And here's the thing, is no one's even mad about it. And what I mean by that is we don't even realize that we're stuck. I mean, oh, it's a good story. We think about it. I'm telling you all this and you're going, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And you know what probably will happen? Is we'll all go home and we continue on the same thing because we really don't know what to do about it. And yeah, it's a real problem, but it doesn't really feel that real to me because it's not really happening to me. See, it really isn't real until it becomes personal. I mean, until your husband or your wife is laid off from work and all of a sudden you go, all right, how do we make ends meet now? What do we do next? Or until your child is ready to go to college and you go, oh my goodness, it's going to be $60,000, $80,000, $100,000. You're going, oh my gosh, this is really real right now. Or all of a sudden the loved one passes away and you're going, now what do? I have to take care of everything I had to support everybody. Now it's all real. See, it's not a matter of if this is going to happen, it's just a matter of when. But here's the good news. I don't think it has to be like this. I don't think we have to stay stuck. I think we can have the same access as that group up there. In fact, there's a group of us that we want to tell the world that we can not be stuck, that there's actually a solution to this problem. There's a way that we can do this. It'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? To actually go, okay, yeah, there's a problem there, but we can really do something about it. And that's what tonight's about. It's not about this part. I want to make you aware of it. But we're going to turn it around and make it a little bit more upbeat right now. And let's get some solutions to that problem. So do me a favor. Put your hands together and help me welcome Wade.
It's funny. Sue's job is to bum everybody out, basically to say, all right, everybody in this middle group of people that when she listed is stuck and they don't have the access to the information, they don't have access to tools, so what are we supposed to do? I was basically born into a family which was farmers and construction people. So we were definitely in that middle group of people that didn't have access to the financial tools of the financial education. So as I went through my life, right, I did exactly what my parents did, basically, which is work really hard during the week and then spend our money on the weekend and then do it again during the week, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. That is one way to live, but doing that every single week is not what's gonna get us wealthy. So if our goal in life is to like, look, move from this middle group of people sort of closer to what the wealthy people do, then maybe we have to look at some different habits that we can have. Because really, we know what our goal is. Our goal is to be in that upper echelon of people or close to it. And then how do we do that? Well, the wealthy, we agree that they treat their money differently than the rest of the people in those three groups that we identified, right? They think about it much differently. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that if we're going to try to accomplish what they accomplish, all we have to do is model what they did. It's not magic. Everyone has this thing that they think it's magic, and that's because the culture teaches us all of these images and things about athletics or about becoming a singer or whatever. Did you know that if you take all of the entertainers and all of the athletes and anyone that does anything creative and you add their wealth together, they make up less than 1% of all millionaires in the country? But since we see it every single day on TV, since we see it on the internet, since we see it all over the place, we're like, oh, that's how you get wealthy. You either have to have some creative skill, invent an app, you have to play a sport, you have to sing a song, right? And if you do those things, that's the only way to get wealthy, or you have to inherit wealth from your parents. That's another illusion that we have, right? Well, almost 9 out of 10, 87% of millionaires in America are first generation. And actually, you're 6 times more likely to be a millionaire in this country if you're an immigrant. The reason why that is because I think when people arrive here from other countries, they see how great it is and they don't take things for granted. So think of those 3 facts. You're 6 times more likely to be a millionaire if you're an immigrant. You're the issue with regards to 89% of millionaires are first generation, and less than 1% of all millionaires are from the creative field or from athletics. We think about football, right? Everybody's fantasy football right now. I'm setting my lineup for this week. I'm agonizing over some choices, right? In the NFL draft, there are only 256 people picked a year. Think about that. Every year for the NFL draft, there's only 256 total. And not all those guys make the team. But yet in our minds, we see this, oh my God, there's all these people playing sports and I'll never be able to do that. Not only will you never be able to do that, nobody's able to do that. So shouldn't be our plan. What our plan should be is let's identify what the wealthy do and sort of start to emulate it, because it can be emulated, it's not magic. The first thing the wealthy do is they lock in advances for their family. Oh, what does that mean? It's very simple. Once you learn something, you teach it to your kids. Just like my parents taught me, work really hard during the week, spend your money on the weekend, do it again, wash, rinse, repeat. The wealthy do that as well. But what they do is they teach their children, okay, so this is how we treat our money, this is how we go to school, these are the schools we try to go to, and this is sort of the path to success that I use, so I'm going to teach it to you, okay? There's nothing against my parents, they just didn't know it, all right? So the other thing that the wealthy do is they develop habits. They understand that you can't work your way into wealth, only work your way into wealth. You have to do the right things over a long period of time. Anyone that tries to tell you that you could become wealthy quickly is lying to you. That's why all these illusions with regards to let's sing a song, let's write an app, let's do whatever we're going to do, that stuff, oh, it's so fast, overnight success. It's not true. They're trying to sell you something, all right? So it's the habits that you have to develop over a long period of time. But the exciting thing is that habits have nothing to do with talent. Habits have nothing to do with intelligence. All habits have to do with doing the correct amount of actions and knowing what actions to do over a set period of time. The other thing that the wealthy do is leverage experts. I don't do my own taxes. I used to try to do this, and it's a giant waste of time, okay, for me, because my taxes aren't that complicated, but I'm not a numbers person. But yet I sit down and I do them, and it takes me like 4 days to do them, and they're always wrong, and I'm always worried about it, right? Well, the moment that I hired an accountant to help me do that with my work and my business, I never stressed about it ever again. All of that time and all of that stress just went away, and I can focus on what I'm trying to accomplish. The wealthy understand that. They know they don't have to know everything. In fact, the wealthy, the less that they have to know, the better. Because is it easier to get good at a few things, or is it easier to get good at a lot of things, right? Of course, it's a rhetorical question. It's easy to get good at a few things. If all you do is work out, that's all you do. You have 8 hours a day to work out, you're going to be in tremendous shape, right? Well, the same applies with our money. We want to limit it down to the smallest number of things that we have to get good at. So why don't we leverage experts and other people so we don't have to learn things, okay? And the fourth thing that the wealthy do is they cultivate strategic partnerships. Look, this is one of my favorite of the 4 because there's this illusion as well as that we have to all do it ourselves. You know, when the world falls apart, the whole ethos that we have in this country is, well, we're going to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and we're going to focus and we're just going to get it done. You can do that, right? But once you get through whatever crisis it is that you get through, guess what's on the other side of that crisis? All the bills and all the problems and all the things that were there before the crisis came. And then you got to get up and you got to go do it again. And then you got to get up and you got to do it again. And what we're doing is we constantly are putting out fires and we're not getting ahead. And the wealthy love that because the people up here, we buy the services from them to keep them wealthy. And we pay the taxes to help the not so wealthy. So basically, we're the engine that drives the economy in the middle, right? And we let everybody else accomplish what they want to accomplish. But if we cultivate partnerships so that when things start to go wrong, we can reach out to our partners and be like, okay, what do I do? We can get through problems faster and we get through them with a blip in the road. We're not tired and then we keep advancing. We keep advancing. Does that make sense? So these things are extremely simple. These aren't complicated, but they're so powerful and valuable because if you just do these things over a small period of time, it doesn't even have to do with your money, okay? These are lessons of money that the wealthy use, but in fact, these are lessons that the wealthy use for everything. All right? I don't care if you're going to go buy a car. I don't care if you're going to start a business. I don't care if you're going to want to lose weight. I don't care if you're going to want to learn how to play the piano. You can actually use these 4 principles for anything you want to do. So if all we have to do is get good at these, then that's a lot simpler than having to get good at a lot of different things, isn't it? Right? And so it's not magic. Now, the power of partnership. So we talk a lot about Primerica. There's a big sign on the business or on the building. And Primerica is one of our strategic partners. Why? Well, they've been in business since 1977, and they have $3 billion in cash. We don't have to worry about them closing down. We don't have to worry about them getting in trouble with the SEC. They've been doing it for a long time, and there have been no issues. Now, what do? Well, if you've never heard of Primerica, basically what Primerica does is they deliver help for money to that middle group of people. You see, nobody's coming to this middle group of people for help with their money. No one came to my parents and said, okay, let's help you. My parents are farm people and construction people. They're like, let's help you save for college. Nobody showed up to do that, all right? They didn't have enough money. But if you save, do you know that if you save $100 a month, since the time you're 18, you will retire a millionaire? Now, who here has blown $100 a month, right? Okay, right. If you save $100 a month from the time that you're 18, when you retire, you'll be a millionaire. That is a simple fact of money that Primerica helps to teach people, and the sooner that we can get in there, the faster we can help people. But nobody else, E.F. Hutton's not coming to your house. Like, E.F. Hutton's not coming to my house. American Express is not coming to my house. There's not enough money there for them to make any money out of it. So Primerica helps to teach those lessons, and they help create financial strength not only through the partners that they have, but through the tools and resources that they bring. So why is this important to us? Well, it's a leverageable system basically to help us get wealthy. So how do we apply these things to our own families, right? Because look, if I was to sit here and say, all right, you want to start a business? You said it's is it Julio? Yeah, my eyes are going, I can't read anything, right? So Julio, you said you were thinking about starting a business, right? I know a little bit about business, so I said, great, all right? Find $500,000 and then come back to me, right? Probably wouldn't see you for very long, right? Because you don't have $500,000. So that's not going to help us. So, but there are other things in terms of regards to our money that we can do that we can actually use these skills. So number one, lock-in advances for our family. Level term insurance. Everyone's, oh, great, we get to talk about insurance today. Wonderful, right? Level term insurance is very simple. You rent a bag of money. If you're hit by a bus, struck by lightning, bored by javelina, right, your family's taken care of. That's all it is. You borrow a bag of money so that something happens to you, your family's taken care of until you get the savings going in your life to where you don't need it anymore. You lock in those advances. So for instance, it's like my dad, he owned a construction business, right? But he, if something would have happened to him, when I was a kid, I was 10, I didn't know how to do the construction business. My mom didn't know how to do it. So we would have gone back, and all that work that he would have done would have been lost, right? But if he had insurance, then we get a big chunk of money and we don't have to worry about it. It's extremely simple. So we lock in the advances so we can start to develop the habits, right? So what are some of the habits of money that we use? Well, remember that fact that I said you save $100 a month from the time you're 18 to you retire, $1 million? Let's just put it in a mutual fund, all right? We teach people about what is a mutual fund. We want to take advantage of the same thing that the banks and the insurance companies do, right? And so we just develop the habits. If you save a little bit of money over a long period of time, you're going to have more money at the end of that than if you did nothing, right? It's not complicated. It seems like it's magic. Oh, but there are people out there, a lot of millionaires, so the average millionaire is like 67 years old, right? Well, why is that? Because all they have done is mastered the habits of saving a lot of money from the time that they're young to the time that they're old. So when we work, all we have to do is take a percentage of our money and put it away someplace that our money works harder for us than we do for it. And that's what we teach people about mutual funds. And then the other issue is we teach people how to leverage experts. There's something called managed accounts. Look, Donald Trump he's in the news. I'm not going to talk politics, but everyone knows who he is, right? He says he's worth $10 billion. Let's just say he's worth $2 billion. Whatever he's worth, right? Do you think that Donald Trump is looking at his money every single day and being like, I got to make sure all my money's in the right places? Does Donald Trump have time to do that, right? He's jacking up the presidential race, right? He's doing that. So Donald Trump uses managed accounts. He has active money managers who look at all of his money and say, okay, let's make sure it's in the right place so that if something happens, we can move it, okay? So Primerica actually gives people to manage accounts at a much lower entry level. Usually you have to have around 250 grand to do that. Same thing, if I said, hey, you want to have access to managed accounts? Come talk to me, we have 250 grand, right? That's not helpful for us, right? It's not helpful for me. But for managed accounts, because we have so many people with Primerica, it's our big uncle, we can get in these accounts for much less, for $25,000. Well, everyone's like, well, wait, I don't have $25,000. I know. If you save a bunch of money over time, at some point you will, and then we can start leveraging those experts as well. And then finally, look, we cultivate strategic partnerships. And how do we do that? We do that through Primerica and our advocates. Primerica helps us with our money. It helps us teach people about money, all right? But our advocates is everyone in this room that decides that this stuff is important. Look, if I wouldn't have been exposed to Primerica, then I would simply have done the same exact thing that my parents did. My dad's 72 years old right now, and what do you think he freaks out about all the time now? Money, okay? All the time. He's always concerned about money. That's all he cares about because he's 72 years old and he doesn't have enough of it, right? He made a lot of money when he worked, but he never saved it. And so now, because of Primerica, when I'm 72 years old, I'm not going to have to worry about trying to worry about money in terms of, are my kids going to provide for me if I run out of money, or what am I going to do, right? So that's number one. That's what Primerica does as a partner. But the second thing that's important is like, look, we talked about how we're all taught when everything goes south to just be like, okay, I'm going to shut out the world and I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to fix this problem, right? What if you could learn to cultivate strategic partners over your time that when everything went bad, all you did was get on the phone and you called every single person you knew. And when that person on the other end got that call, they were like, okay, how can I help? Because you all prepped for this time. Because all you did is talk with each other about, all right, how are we going to get better? How are we going to increase our skills? How are we going to increase basically that our advances are permanent? And when you do that and you cultivate those partnerships on purpose, then when you get that call from your friend or you give someone else that call, everybody knows what to do. And then we don't have to worry about living scared all the time. We don't have to worry about what am I going to do when I retire. We don't have to worry about when things hit the fan, what am I going to do? We have strategic partnerships cultivated. And that's what the wealthy do. It's not magic. And they do this in every single thing. If you want to talk to me after the meeting, you pick something and I will be able to show you, and anything that you tell me what to do, how these 4 things apply. I don't care what it is. Basket weaving. I don't care what it is. Gardening. I don't care. Just come up to me, try to trick me, and I'll be like, okay, this is what you would do. And so this plan, and this is why this is exciting, it's a 2 to 3 generational plan. What I mean by that is that these principles, these simple principles, and if you learn just these, and you teach them to your children, and your children teach them to their children, your grandchildren will be stone cold wealthy. I'm not talking like, okay, we have enough money to eat when we retire. I'm talking about they can do what they want with whoever they want, any style that they want. They'll have time and they'll have money. Now that's awesome for 3 generations from now. And everyone's like, well, that's not, you guys aren't very excited about that. I don't know what the deal is. Everyone's like, I'm stunning everybody. I don't know. Maybe I'm shouting at you too much, or you guys are all thinking about your fantasy football lineup, because I'm still kind of thinking about it. But the thing is, like, look, I'm a farm boy from North Dakota. And if I wouldn't have met for America and learned these things, I would be doing the exact same thing. And when I was 72, I'd be worried about money. I'm 42 years old. It's only 30 years from now. It seems like a long time. It's not. But because of these right here, not only am I going to be okay, but my kids and my kids' kids are going to be stone cold wealthy. It's not if, it's a fact. And that's only because of what we've learned through Primerica and modeling the wealthy. It's not magic. So I get excited about that. So when Sue comes up in here and says, here's the problem, I just gave you a solution. And it's simple, and anyone can learn it, and it can be taught. Now, this is awesome if you're cool about wanting to have your picture up on the flyer so your grandkids are like, that's the guy that taught us, or that's the gal that taught us, right? But some of us want to do it a little bit faster than 3 generations. So I'm going to bring up the awesome Chris here to talk about it.
How's everybody? I'm excited. I'm sitting in the back of the room. You did phenomenal. I'm excited. So, first of all, thank you all for coming. It's funny. I get in a mood like this every once in a while. It doesn't happen all the time, but where my brain works faster than my mouth, or my mouth will work faster than my brain. One will shut off, and the other one will just take over, and I'm just not sure where tonight's going to go. So, but really, I sit in the back of the room, and I'm listening, and I was listening to Sue, and I was listening to Wade, which is a nice thing because they were speaking. It'd be rude if I was back there and wasn't listening. But, and it was funny because Wade was like, you guys aren't that excited. And I realized that sometimes this just seems like a slide. I got in the business. I walked into a room very similar to this. I was 22 years old with $24,000 of credit card debt. The only thing I knew about money is I didn't have it. Both my parents were teachers. At 15 years old, we got our car repossessed, or we got our house foreclosed on. And I remember walking outside when the sheriff knocked on the door and said, you have 4 hours to get everything out of here, and then you're done. I remember looking at my dad going, how did you let this happen? And he looked at me like, how did you let this happen? And I was 15. and I walked out of 2 big maple trees, and I remember hugging this tree, saying, like, which I'm from Iowa, like, it wasn't Northern California, it wasn't big tree huggers, like because it was this grounding moment. I'm like, this is never gonna happen. I'm never. My kids are never going through this. You guys know some of those decisions and some of those little things. Well, fast forward 7 years, I'm 22 years old, and a week before I saw the business, I had a car repossessed. Because I learned a long time ago that more is caught than taught. None of our parents, or most of our parents, and our friends, they didn't sit down and say, here's all the dumb things I did. Why don't you spend the next 10 or 15 years doing exactly what I did wrong, just to prove that it screws you up as well? Right or wrong? But I got a question. How many of us have ever made a decision at the moment we knew it was the right decision, and then 5 years later we're so embarrassed that we did it, we won't even tell another human being that we did it? See, the challenge is most of us learn the impact of what you saw tonight. This isn't big theory. Most of us don't have wealthy parents. That's not their fault necessarily. It's just true. Most of us don't have wealthy friends. What do we have? We have loving parents, hopefully, that do the best they can, and they spend money the best. Right? They work and they spend, and they do the best they can, and their friend and your friends work and spend, and what do? We work and spend, and no one in our life calls us silly or ridiculous when we buy something we shouldn't buy. We just do it because everyone else does it, and it's just normal, right or wrong. And so what happens is we become desensitized. It just becomes the way it is. When you heard Wade talk about these 4 principles, they're not earth-shattering in their concept, right? The heavens didn't open up. There wasn't lightning bolts coming down like the hand of Zeus that says, these are those. And at the same time, the compound effect of right choices has an unbelievable experience. Here's the problem. None of us will eat a Twinkie tonight and gain 400 pounds. If we did, are you eating the Twinkie tomorrow? No, you only have to do that once to go, that's not the right choice. What happens is we eat the Twinkie tonight, we wake up tomorrow, and we're like, I feel great. That didn't do it. I got on the scale, nothing. My body processes Twinkies. And so you tweak it the next day. And you're like, look, I just wanted to test the theory. I didn't gain it. This is awesome. And the tweaking, you're not going to gain, but the habit of that over an extended period of time starts to shift what other choices that we make. And now we start ordering chips and doing different, and we just go down these different paths. And then 10 years go by, or 10 weeks go by, or 10 months go by, and we get on the scale and we're like, how did that happen? Because failure doesn't fall at the end of the first day. Am I the only one that's ever succumbed to some of these choices? Well, the same things happen financially. Oh, I'll start saving next quarter. It's not a good time. I have a question. When is it ever a good time to save any money? Is it ever convenient? How many of you like saving? Raise your hand if you feel like you like saving money. Good, there's no one lying anymore, right? I hate saving money. Hate it. I love having money saved, though. You guys realize there's a difference between saving money is I have $1,000. I'm going to put $500 away that I'm not going to spend right now, and I'm going to survive or do whatever I can on the $500. There's nothing fun about that, right? Now, if you ever need $500 and it's there, and you don't have to go ask somebody for it, you don't have to put it on a credit card. Now you're like, oh, thank God I did that. See, there's a shift in thought process. Well, that's really what we're talking about, right? And what you heard so far is on the day-to-day basis of if we can take control of our money. Now, again, both my parents are teachers. I wanted to be a teacher. That's all I ever wanted to do. Financial services was the furthest thing from my interest. Right when they talked about insurance and investments, the eyeballs rolled back in the back of the head. I'm like, get me out of this room. I am not a salesperson, and I could care less about this crap. You with me? And at the same time, I was $24,000 of credit card debt at 22 years old, and I realized that if you have more debt than years on the planet, there might be some things you don't know about money. And I went, my parents aren't dumb. I'm not dumb. What else is there? And then I started to kind of go through, and something very, very interesting happened. Is they talked about this one generation plan. And look, I believe we're the greatest country in the history of the world. But for no other reason than we just tell everybody. Right? And I believe in self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you tell everyone we're the greatest country in the world, we have everyone convinced we're the greatest country in the world. I don't care what the test score says. No one's trying to break into Czechoslovakia. You guys all realize that? Like, everyone's trying to come here because the streets are paved with gold if you can see them. The challenge is the streets are paved with gold whether you can see them as gold or not. There's people who come here and make all their dreams come true, and then there are people who come here and complain about the traffic. So we said, look, if we wanted a one-generation plan, if we wanted to live in integrity, why are you here? Because somebody said, we're trying to do something special, and we want you to understand. The first thing is, there's a problem in this country. 70 million of us are stuck, and we don't know it. How can we not know it? Because we'd fix it if we knew it. But if none of our friends are wealthy, and none of our family are wealthy, and none of our parents are wealthy, and they're not teaching us how to be wealthy, then the choices we're making don't seem good. So we said, we need to solve this problem. And we talked about this 2 to 3 generation plan. But we said, look, if we're going to live in integrity, if I'm going to stand in front of a room of 3 or 3,000, I got to be in integrity through every phase of what we do. And we said, we have to have a one-generation plan, because if I sit down with you and go, okay, hey, we got a plan for 50 years from now, you're like, that's great. But what about me? And so we said, look, the truth of the matter. 1, if you sit down with anyone from Primerica and they give you a financial game plan and you follow it, we can show you how to get financially secure. But we cannot get you financially free. You and I don't make enough money in our jobs. You and I can't save enough money to save and invest and get wealthy. And anybody in this industry, Primerica or any other company, that tells you that they can get you wealthy by saving and investing is lying to you and telling you what you want to hear. There's a 0% chance. It's just math. Now, you can make sure that you can replace your lifestyle. If you make $5 grand a month and you retire and replace the $5 grand a month, you've got a pretty good quality of life. You're financially secure. That's honorable. But if we want to get financially free, it's a different conversation. The only way to get free in this country is ownership. Not Primerica, ownership. You have to have, all of us have to have access to 3 income streams. We have to have passive income. We have to be able to earn money on work we did before. We have to be able to control our revenue. We have to be able to work now to be able to increase that cash flow. And then we need to be able to leverage profit. The ability to have multiple locations where profit and passive income and revenue can be taken advantage of. It's just business. It's just math. The problem is without $500,000 of capital, that doesn't matter. But even that, how do most of us learn what to do, right? We always talk about it. Money and kids, the two things that don't come with instructions. And how do you learn what not to do with either money or kids? By doing the wrong thing. You're like, oh, I shouldn't do that again. And the good news is when you screw up with little kids, they can't tell anyone, right? And then you just have more. I got 4. You just keep having more. By the third, fourth one, you're like, I got this wired. And the older ones are like, Dad, you suck, because that's not how you were with me. Who are you going to tell? Right? So just, I have to be careful. So my wife's not here right now, and I always say things like that. People are like, people are going to believe you. I'm like, good. No. So we said, look, so ownership was one of those things. We said, look, we've got to have a support system in place. So we said, okay, if we're going to solve this, how do we do it? Because it's one thing to get people to come to a meeting and put a PowerPoint presentation on the board and say, hey, here's the solution. You got to own. Duh. Did any of you need to come to this meeting and have someone tell you you should save money? How many of you knew that before your butt got the call? How many of you all knew, I might want to own something one day if I ever want to be free? Like, that's not revolutionary ideas. But the difference between ideas and execution is what we're talking about. So we said, look, we've got to be able to harness that spirit. There's something inside some of us that says, I don't want to feel like this anymore. If someone will give me a shot, I'll do it. I don't want to have to think about it, think up everything. I don't want to be responsible for all of it. So someone will show me. Look, we go through, we talk about this. We say, look, why do we have meetings like this tonight? It's because our job is to introduce ideas that most of us haven't heard before. And the idea, the opportunity to get better and clearer, to ask questions and go, hey, I never thought about it that way. Because we can have the greatest spirit in the world, but we have to have it direct. We have to direct it. We have to have a leverageable support system. What does that mean? 80% of small businesses go out of business in the first 5 years. Why? Because the entrepreneurs are lazy? No. Because how do you learn? Usually by making mistakes. You have to figure it all out on your own. If you open up a dry cleaner, you can't call the dry cleaner down the street and say, hey, how'd you stay in business? Because you're direct competition. So we said, you know what we need to do? If we had a back office support system that could help folks, we have a legitimate shot to do it. Why are you here? Why do we talk about that? It's because someone invited you tonight, and you might look at that right there, David's brothers there, and you might go, Dave, you're going to go, you? Right? You know all the dumb things he's done. I know half the dumb things he's done. You know it, right? But it's easy to go, how is it? When you would have met me, you wouldn't have gone, Brett's going to be a hardcore entrepreneur. Right? I was a train wreck. I was full of energy, but I was making, because I didn't know what to do. If that was my burden and responsibility, there's no way I'm successful. But because there's a back office support system that said, hey, we can make sure that the client development and the associate recruitment, that we can make sure there's a system in place, I could be good and have fun telling the story and know that the support's in place. And then we need a transitional path. Because again, I was $24,000 of credit card debt. I was making $1,000 a month at my job, and you go, well, that's not a lot of money. I know, but it was enough. And so the idea of walking away, whether you're making $1,000 a month or $20,000 a month, the idea of walking away from what you're doing, even if the idea is fantastic, is scary and irresponsible. We said, man, if we could show someone how to learn how to build a business, learn how to articulate what we're doing, learn how to cultivate a business, learn how to grow, how to be an entrepreneur, they could potentially transition themselves out of their job and have access to a legitimate one-generation path. That's all this is. That's what David's taking. That's what the folks in this room are fighting for. So we said, okay, well, what is this about? Why are you here? What do we do? Well, the reality is, we're a business incubator designed on purpose to create the same high-level entrepreneurs. That's what our days are. Is we work with folks. I had a really great conversation with Cindy earlier. It took 35, 40 minutes. I've known Cindy for a couple of years, doing a remarkable job, growing a business, growing a team. And the entire conversation was about how is she growing her entrepreneurial skills? How is she organizing her thoughts? How is she articulating? How is she communicating? What are the processes? What is this? Right? The ability. Why? Because she doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. I've been doing this for 20 years. And so if someone could take the time and say, hey, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. Step 1, step 2, step 3 aren't easy, but they're a hell of a lot easier with the instructions. Right? I have 7-month-old twins. And so I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, and then 11 years later we had twins. And so I put cribs together 11 and 13 years ago, and then I put cribs together, right, 7 months ago. And putting cribs together sucked. Putting all baby things together suck. They're complicated, right? You got to get them out. They got the little tie wraps, and you got to get a knife or a scissors, and they go sideways. They're terrible, but they're really. But with the instructions, they're plausible, because the instructions are not written for normal people. They don't actually. I think there's like cameras inside of them saying, "Hey, maybe we can figure out," because they're terrible. But without the instructions, they'd be impossible. Look, I'm not saying that building a business is easy, but shoot, with instructions, they're a whole lot simpler. And that's really what we wanted to be able to create. And so we said, look, our number one job, why are you here? What is this about? So we go, man, we want a place for everybody. That's what I wanted, right? I built this business a long time ago. Man, I want to be proud of what I do. I want everybody in my life to understand that we're fired up to solve a problem. Well, you see the value in what we're talking about. That's the first thing. Look, when we talk about the fact that the wealthy have access to resources and tools and the not so wealthy have access to support systems, and most of us have to take on the world alone, is that a controversial idea that you don't think is true? Like, I've been doing this a long time. I've never had someone argue with me saying, no, that middle group, they have so many resources and tools, everyone shows up to help them. I've just never had anyone argue with me on that. So we said, okay, well, the first thing we got to do is give it language. But if you can understand and support the mission we're on, we have a place for allies. So look, there's no way we're going to solve this problem alone. That's it. The most important thing we can do, Yubi, is have a group of people that you can call and say, hey, how are things going? And have them understand the path that you're on. Guess what? Winning's hard. You know how fun it is to call somebody that you care about and to be able to tell them that things aren't going well and have them go, don't worry about it, man, just stay on it? Man, that's so different than calling a friend and telling them something's not going right. They're going, see, I told you. How many of you have that friend? How many of you are that friend? No. It depends upon the topic, right? So we said, okay, look, the number one job, the reason you're here is we want to make sure that we have an ally system. But then, if you knew somebody that had that entrepreneurial spirit, that wanted to do something different, that had the drive and the focus, they just didn't have the opportunity. If the right opportunity was presented them, they could absolutely take advantage of it. If you knew that, is there any reason that you wouldn't introduce the person that brought you and say, man, you got to talk to this person? Because that's where our advocates go. Look, we could put $1 billion worth of commercials on TV. We got the cash as a company. But I have a question. How many of you would like to save 15% or more on your car insurance? Most of us would love to. How many of us call? Most of us don't. See, we talk about the fact that 70 million families are stuck. That's half the problem. The other half is they don't know. If you and I don't know there's a problem, we don't look to solve it. We have to have an advocate support system so that we can get this message to the people who need it. And then just for the giggles part, if you found something that was real, that was credible, that was in alignment with who you were, where you could get what you want and make an impact, would you be open? Because we realize that our business could be based on allies, advocates, and associates. A group of people saying, attaboy, that's awesome. A group of people saying, man, I know someone that you should talk to. And a group of people saying, hey, if I could change my situation, that would be pretty cool as well. And we said, as long as we created a space for all of them, then we could communicate with some authority. We could have some fun and find some folks that say, man, I love being a part of this. I'm going to support. I'm a great cheerleader. We have people who come to this group, who come to this meeting once a month, and they just come to see the candy handed out. People get recognition because they love being a part of it. And we have people that say, man, I'm not making all that money I want to make. I want to be able to do something different and to be able to have that space. So my job over the next couple of minutes is to say, look, where's that advocate path? And how does it transition to associate? Because we realize we could have the greatest idea, but if it costs too much money, we can't do it. We said, look, we're going to make sure. We got $3 billion in cash. It costs a couple $1,000s to get licensed through the state of California. I didn't have a couple $1,000s. They said, you cover the background check, we'll take care of the rest of it. I said, I can afford that. We build our business in what's called a partnership platform. This is our logo as a company. Primerica Financial Services has 2,000 people in Duluth, Georgia. They are experts in financial services. Y'all with me? I have no interest in financial services at all. But I love putting kids to college. I love making sure that if someone passes away, their family's taken care of. The impact is credible. But we need high-level experts. If we're going to put together a program where someone's future, their retirement account's taken care of, We need high-level experts doing that, but I don't have to be. We got a back office support system to make sure that people are aligned, that there's the right support so that we can get good at building our business. And then at the end of the day, it's got to be good. We could have all this other stuff. Economically, financially, it's got to be worth it. We're all away from our family. We're all here tonight. We could be somewhere else. Why? So what I do is I walk through and go, look, we want a role for all of us. Our allies, our advocates, and associates. And I think it's important. We open our books. We show every client how we get paid. It's a vital part of our business because we realize that if you tell a great story and it reaches the right folk, good things can happen. So we have a position we call our GAPs, our Gathering Asset Players, Partners. It's one of my favorite. Because I sit with folks and they're like, serious, I have no interest in building this business. I'm like, great. I'm with you. I'm fine with that. How important is food? How many of you like to eat? Multiple times a day. Well, I remember not that long ago when lunch was $5 a day. You guys remember going in? You get a lunch. You could get like a burger and a fries and a drink for $5. You can go get Chipotle. You get a taco. You can get food. You can get $5. And it was around $5 for a long time, and then it jumped to like $7. And now the average lunch is $9.71. It went from $5 to $10. How many of you know lunch is going to be $15 a day? It's going to be $20. Here's the dilemma. Have our incomes doubled? Because our cost for food has. Our cost for gas has. Our cost for cars have. Our cost for houses have. Our cash for the cost of milk has. The cost of bananas have. The cost of diapers have. The cost of formula has. But most of our incomes have. So what happens when we maintain the same lifestyle without the same resources? We start negotiating. And the problem is what we start trading off are our ability to save, our ability to protect, our ability to pay off our debts. Our long-term future obligation and needs, we negotiate for the short-term niceties. Well, we said, well, look, what if we could keep our job, keep doing what we're doing? But there are 10,000 people turning 65 years old every day for the next 19 years. And it's the first generation that's ever had access to a 401k or no. Their parents have pensions, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month. They now have a piece of paper with $311,000. Do they have any idea what to do with $311,000? They make $61,000 for both of their life. Have they been dealing with the wealth advisors in their life? No. Now they're getting ready to retire. They have no idea who to talk to. We said, well, what if we could get greater relationships so we could introduce those people to the management council we talked about? We literally could change their life and give us some security. $1 million in assets for one of our gaps pays off $4,000 a year. It's not life-changing. It's like $300 a month. But $5 million is about $1,800 a month. Why? Because we got 4 people right now that are in the process of getting their licenses that are all over the age of 55. They started working when they were 22, and age 67, they're going to retire, and they're going to get a Social Security check of $1,269. Someone can work with us for a couple of years and actually make more money, passive income, on the first of every month than Social Security pays. Now, what if someone started with us when they were 20, and from by 20 to 30, they developed 5, and in the first of every month, they just had $1,800 a month show up on the first of the month? Would that alleviate a little bit of pressure? That allows us to say, oh, diapers are, it doesn't matter. We've got it taken care of. Oh, our ability to save, our future, our retirement, it's all done. We think long-term, but we can do it in short-term. We've got our part-timers that say, look, an extra $500 to $1,000 a month can start to change our situation. I was talking to you last week. We went out, sat with a couple of folks, made $600. He works full-time at Coca-Cola, wakes up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, ridiculous. Like, but it was ridiculous. He called me, like, he texted me like 4:30 in the morning. He's like, hey, I'm up. I'm like, I got twins. I'm up too, right? But we're doing different things. But he made $621 in an hour. You guys understand the opportunity to change families' lives? That's real. And then we've got some of our part-timers that want to become full-time. Look, right? The ability to say, look, what if we could turn our job into our cover photos? What if our job could teach us how to be entrepreneurs? What if our job could pay us enough money to learn how to grow? To make sure that our bills are taken care of so we don't have to stress about that, but we know that we can build our future somewhere else. And then there's some entrepreneurs. There's some people in this room They'll wake up early in the morning or go to bed at night, and their eyeballs go big, and they're like, I know there's greatness. And if that's to happen, we've got to be able to take advantage of passive income. So we said, okay, whether they're gaps or part-timers or part-time or full-timers or entrepreneurs, there's a great space. But why does this work? See, on our business, we're in the financial services industry. We attract and develop relationships with people. We said, look, over the next 2 or 3 years, we built a business where we had $15 million of assets under management that pays you $100,000 a year. If you teach 30 people how to find $1 million each, that's an additional $100,000 a year. You build a team. There's 20 of us in the room, right? If each of us help 1.5 families a month, right? That pays an extra $150,000 to $200,000 a year. And then if you just teach someone to do it, why do Dave and I spend the time? I go, David, man, I want to show you how to make $250,000 a year. But if David builds a business where he helps 15 families a month, they're going to pay him $100,000 a year, and then pay me $600, $200 a month in profit. Oh, so you're only helping David because you want to make money? Not only, but it helps. But I'm not that great at math. But I go, wait a second. So if I help 1, that's 72. 2 is 144. 3 is 210. 4 is 280. And 5 is $350,000 a year. Again, I am not the greatest at math, but if over the next 5 years we did something like that, that's 200, 200, 300. That's $750,000 a year. I have a question. 70 million families are stuck and no one's coming. They don't know how to save and invest. They don't know how to plan it. They don't know how to create the income. If someone showed them, do you think most people would have enough sense to get in and out the rate? Most of us will do the right thing for our family. We just don't know what it is. We said, man, if we built an army of people that delivered this message to the people who need it, we're going to change the world starting with our own. Well, on 60 grand a month, how many of you think you could pay your taxes, save some money, and have a pretty doggone good quality life? You do that for a period of time. Stone wealth is right there. Tonight's about, we have a problem in this country, and we're not going to solve it alone. The people in this room say, not on our watch. There's an opportunity to do something different. We need the support systems in place, whether they're allies, they're advocates, or they're associates. There's a place for everyone in our life. But doggone it, there's a role for everybody too. If you come to a meeting like this and you don't know where the problem is, then you get to walk out going, they never told me. They never told me that I could put my kids to college for $42 a month. I could fully fund a state school. From the time a newborn child is newborn, the time they're 18 years old, if you save $42 a month in a covered IRA, that money goes tax-free. It'll fund the equivalent of a state school, a CISA, books and tuition, paid for, $42. The problem is if you wait 3 years, it's now 80. If you wait 5 more years, it's now 200. See, if no one tells you that, then you get to go, I didn't know. But the moment someone tells you that and you choose to do it or not do it, now it's not no one told me. It's this is a real impact. All of us have been part of a car wash. All of us have known somebody that died way too soon. If someone would have called them a week before they died and said, hey, you're going to die next week, let's make sure your family's protected because you don't want to put this emotional burden and this financial burden on them, every one of them would have said, sign me up, tell me what I got to do. The problem is we don't know when that phone call is coming. But here's what we know. All of us in this room are going to die or live. That's deep. Which means all of us are going to get to retirement age. Or we're not. If we don't, that's going to negatively financially affect people in our lives. We have an opportunity to protect them. If we do, eating is going to be important. It is not okay that you and I don't get financially secure. It is not okay that the people in our lives don't get financially secure. And if you and I think our best friends know it, my last little piece of this, let's just say it's true. Let's say your best friend knows all of this. They're doing everything right. Y'all with me? How pissed are you 35 years from now because they didn't tell you? Could you imagine your best friend, stone wealthy? You're 68 years old. You're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your money. And you call them, like, how are you going to eat? You're calling them, like, oh, we're getting ready to travel around the world. Why? Well, because 25, 30, 40 years ago, we said we put a plan together. Oh, we forgot to tell you. Wouldn't that suck? Because you know the next question, right? Can I borrow some money? So if you have no other thing except self-interest, the people in our lives need to hear this. So we talk about the fact that this mission continues. We're going to be back here next Wednesday, and our goal is to grow. Our goal is for people to understand that I'm so proud of the speakers. I'm so proud of what's going on and what we're doing. Guys, tonight's exciting. I love people making big decisions. My friend David and I have been working a lot together, and I know he's making big choices, big decisions. I appreciate his family being there. I appreciate his friends being there. I appreciate this because, guys, together we can create something special. If there's any questions or anything we can do answer it after, please let us know. We got training back here on Saturdays. We take jeans and t-shirts and really just kind of explain this stuff and really grow. Guys, this is the right moment. There's a huge need, and I'm just excited that all of us are part of it. Thank you so much, and have a great night.
So you can stop planning on pain and start figuring it. Schedule an appointment on 1-800 Cedar Sinai, West.